Former Vice President and 2024 Democratic candidate Kamala Harris announced she is not going to run for governor of California next year. And I would say she's making a mistake. You know, if I'm thinking from the perspective of a politician, it doesn't make any sense to me that someone who is polling higher than any person that could conceivably challenge her in that race would turn down a winnable election, but also one where if she wins this winnable election, she will spend the next 2 years in the spotlight as governor of the largest state and as a potential 2028 candidate. Now, if she doesn't want to run in 2028, then there's little to no point in actually becoming governor because, let's keep it real, Harris is going to, were she to be governor, continue pretty much every single thing that Newsom does, which is have little to no solutions for the epidemic of homeless people, those on the streets, those in their cars, do nothing to try and lower rent prices, just really not interested. Let's not forget our crumbling infrastructure. So there's very little that she would do to actually improve the lives of the people in her state, even if she were to run for governor and then take that office. But it seems to me that this is my own opinion. The fact that she won't run for this lends me to believe that she's not going to run for president again. And the reason I say that again is because being an office holder, if you're someone that wants to run for president, is one of the most surefire ways to have your name be circulated, to have people talk about you. Governor Kamala Harris said this today. But if she spends the next 4 years as a regular old, ex-vice president, it's going to be a lot harder for her to just casually be mentioned among the various people jockeying to be Trump's successor in 4 years. So it's really one of those things where I saw a lot of conservatives, they were going, yay, Harris isn't running, best news I've heard. But honestly, the reality is it's going to be a Democrat that replaces Newsom, and I don't believe any of the people who actually have a chance of winning were any worse than she would have been. So it's kind of one of those things where there's not really much gained from this, aside from the fact that we now have confirmation that a possible third presidential run on her end is going to be a much more difficult affair. And even, I think it was Chris Cillilla, whatever how you pronounce this, the guy from CNN, who mentioned that Harris had these leads in these various 2028 polls, and how a lot of the leading from 3 years before the damn election is more so tied to name recognition than what people will actually want by then. And if she is unable to have a consistent stream of public appearances, which will be harder to do as a former elected official instead of a current one, she could see her spotlight or her leading in these polls as just dwindle to the point of almost nothing. So I think she's playing a dangerous game if she wanted to run for president again. Being governor would be the first step of that. And, even if she were to run for president and lose again for the third time, which I think probably would happen, she could still, have some position where if, let's say Vance or one of them won the Republicans' nomination in the election, she could still have a position where she's in it long enough to then run again in 32. So it's just a matter of her calculations, I think, are wrong.